Understanding the flow of life. Have you ever wondered what happens after we take our final breath? Is life a simple path with a clear beginning and end? Or is it something more intricate? Like the endless ripples in a tranquil pond. In the rush of daily life, we seldom pause to question the deeper mysteries of existence. What is the self we cling to so tightly? Is it permanent? Or does it evolve moment by moment? Buddhism offers us a unique perspective on these profound questions, inviting us to explore the nature of life and death through the lens of rebirth. When we think of rebirth, we often picture reincarnation, souls moving from one body to another. A concept familiar from stories, movies, or other spiritual traditions. However, Buddhism challenges this idea with a radical notion: there is no permanent soul. Life is instead viewed as a continuous flow of experiences, shaped by karma and the impermanence of all things. Imagine a flame lighting another candle. The flame continues, yet it is not the same. This is the essence of rebirth in Buddhism, a cycle of continuity without a fixed self. It encourages us to rethink our understanding of life, death, and the mysteries beyond. But what does this mean for us? How does grasping the concept of rebirth help us live with more clarity, compassion, and purpose? And, most intriguingly, if there is no unchanging self, then who, or what, is reborn? In this exploration, we will dive deep into Buddhist philosophy to uncover the answers to these questions. Prepare to shift your perspective, embrace impermanence, and discover the wisdom that can transform the way you experience life itself. Stay tuned, for what lies ahead may change the way you see yourself and the world around you. Part 1: What is rebirth in Buddhism? In Buddhism, rebirth is a concept that challenges common perceptions of existence. Unlike the idea of reincarnation in many other traditions, where a soul or essence moves from one body to another, Buddhism asserts that there is no permanent self or soul to transfer. Instead, rebirth is understood as a stream of consciousness, a continuous flow of experiences influenced by past actions, present intentions, and the interconnected nature of all things. To understand this, think of lighting one candle with another. The second candle's flame is ignited by the first, but it's not the same flame. Similarly, rebirth involves continuity without a fixed entity, a process of transformation driven by causes and conditions. This analogy illustrates how life is a dynamic, ever-changing phenomenon rather than something static or unchanging. This idea of rebirth is rooted in the teaching of dependent origination, Paticcasamuppada, a foundational principle of Buddhism. Dependent origination shows how everything arises due to specific causes and conditions. Just as a tree grows from a seed, nourished by soil, sunlight, and water, our present experiences are shaped by past actions. Our future, in turn, depends on the choices we make now. Consider the story of Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple. Jobs famously studied Zen Buddhism, and embraced its principles, including impermanence and interconnectedness. He once reflected on how awareness of mortality drove his creativity, saying, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." His mindfulness of life's transient nature inspired him to focus on innovation and impact rather than clinging to material or personal legacies. In this light, rebirth is not about who or what we were in a previous life but about how our thoughts, words, and actions ripple forward. It encourages us to live with greater responsibility and awareness, knowing that our present choices create the conditions for what comes next. Part 2: The nature of no self, Anatta, or no self. is one of Buddhism's most transformative and challenging teachings. It directly counters the common belief in a permanent, unchanging self or soul. Instead, Buddhism teaches that what we perceive as me or I is not a singular, fixed entity but rather a dynamic interplay of 5 aggregates: khandhas, body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. These elements are constantly in flux, changing moment by moment, shaped by internal and external conditions. To grasp this concept, imagine yourself as a wave in the ocean. A wave has a unique form, shape, and movement. Yet it cannot exist apart from the water. It rises, peaks, and dissolves back into the ocean, illustrating the transient and interconnected nature of existence. Similarly, while we may perceive ourselves as distinct individuals, we are inherently interconnected with the world around us, arising and dissolving within the flow of life. This understanding of no self has profound implications for how we view ourselves and others. It challenges the ego, which clings to the illusion of a permanent identity, leading to attachment, pride, and suffering. For instance, consider the lives of influential leaders, like Barack Obama or Oprah Winfrey, who often emphasize collective growth and shared humanity over personal gain. Their actions and words reflect a deeper understanding of interconnectedness, prioritizing the greater good over individual ego. By embracing the principle of Anatta, we learn to let go of rigid self-identifications and attachments. This detachment does not mean indifference but rather freedom from unnecessary suffering caused by clinging to what is impermanent. When we understand that the self is ever-changing and interdependent, it becomes easier to approach life with humility, compassion, and resilience. Ultimately, the teaching of no self invites us to see beyond the illusion of separateness. It opens the door to a more liberated way of living, free from the constraints of ego-driven concerns and aligned with the reality of interconnected existence. Part 3: Karma and Continuity in Buddhism. Karma is a key principle in understanding rebirth, often misunderstood as a system of cosmic reward or punishment. Karma is better described as the law of cause and effect. Every action, word, or thought creates energy that ripples into the future, influencing not only the person who generates it but also those around them. To simplify, karma is like planting seeds. A kind action is akin to sowing a seed of positivity that grows into beneficial outcomes, while harmful actions plant seeds of suffering. This chain of cause and effect extends beyond one lifetime, connecting our present experiences to past deeds and shaping our future conditions. A real-world analogy can be drawn from figures like Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, he emerged without bitterness and chose a path of reconciliation and peace for South Africa. His actions, rooted in compassion, perseverance, and vision, created ripples of positive change, transforming not just his nation but inspiring the world. His story illustrates how actions motivated by kindness and justice can break cycles of suffering and foster collective healing. On a more personal level, consider how small, consistent actions influence daily life. Imagine someone overcoming a difficult upbringing by focusing on education, kindness, and service to others. Over time, these actions create a cycle of positive momentum, reshaping not only their own life but also the lives of those they touch. Understanding karma and continuity allows us to see that our choices matter deeply. Every moment is an opportunity to plant seeds for a better future, for ourselves and others. This perspective fosters accountability and mindfulness, encouraging us to act with wisdom and compassion. By embracing the principle of karma, we can break free from destructive patterns and actively create conditions for growth, happiness, and liberation. Part 4, How Rebirth Differs from Reincarnation. The distinction between rebirth in Buddhism and reincarnation in Hinduism lies at the heart of their philosophical divergence. In Hinduism, the soul, Atman, is eternal, traveling through different lifetimes, retaining its essence even as it experiences new bodies. Buddhism, however, rejects the notion of a permanent soul. Instead, rebirth is understood as a continuity of experiences influenced by karma, without any unchanging entity passing from one life to the next. To make this concept relatable, imagine reincarnation as a single book series with the same protagonist appearing in every chapter, their identity consistent despite changes in the storyline. Rebirth, however, is like a collection of connected novels. Each story influences the next, but the characters, settings, and events can differ entirely. What links them is not a fixed character but a chain of cause and effect, driven by past actions. This difference reflects Buddhism's focus on impermanence, anicca, and interconnectedness. There is no eternal self to cling to, only a flow of experiences that arise and fade, shaped by conditions and actions. Consider the modern example of Steve Jobs, who was deeply influenced by Zen Buddhism. His life illustrates how transformative experiences can shape the flow of one's existence. Each phase of his career, whether founding Apple, being ousted, or later returning to revolutionize the tech industry, was not a continuation of the same identity but a reinvention shaped by lessons from the past. Understanding rebirth in Buddhism challenges the idea of permanence and encourages us to see life as dynamic and interdependent. It shifts focus from holding on to a fixed self to embracing the flow of change, fostering a sense of freedom and responsibility for our actions. This perspective invites us to live with awareness, knowing that every moment creates the conditions for what comes next. Part 5, Practical Lessons for Daily Life. The teachings of rebirth and no self, Anatta, offer transformative insights that can greatly improve how we navigate our everyday lives. By applying these principles, we can cultivate a deeper sense of peace, resilience, and interconnectedness. One key lesson is to embrace impermanence. Recognizing that life is in constant flux enables us to let go of attachment to things that are bound to change, such as material possessions, relationships, or even the roles we identify with. A prime example of this is Barack Obama, who has spoken about the importance of adapting to change in both leadership and personal growth. During his presidency, Obama demonstrated a remarkable ability to evolve in response to challenges, showing how embracing impermanence can lead to a balanced and impactful life. Another important practice is mindfulness. By being fully present in each moment, we can better understand the causes and conditions that shape our emotions and decisions. Mindfulness is about stepping away from autopilot and observing life as it unfolds. Influential figures such as Oprah Winfrey have credited mindfulness meditation as a key to their success. Through mindfulness, we gain the ability to make intentional choices, fostering a sense of clarity and peace in our lives. Living ethically is another powerful principle. Karma teaches us that every action has consequences, not only for ourselves but for the well-being of the collective. By acting with kindness and compassion, we contribute to the greater good. A fitting example of this is Nelson Mandela, whose unwavering commitment to reconciliation and justice played a pivotal role in transforming South Africa. His ethical leadership demonstrates how even small, consistent acts of goodwill can ripple outward to create monumental change. These lessons invite us to live with greater awareness and purpose. By embracing impermanence, practicing mindfulness, and committing to ethical actions, we align our lives with the flow of interconnected existence, creating a foundation for deeper fulfillment and a lasting positive impact on the world. Part 6, Stories of Rebirth, Stories of Rebirth. Whether drawn from Buddhist tradition or modern life, offer profound insights into transformation and the cyclical nature of existence. These narratives not only illustrate spiritual principles, but also inspire us to embrace change and resilience in our own lives. One of Buddhism's most well-known tales is the story of Kisa Gotami, a mother consumed by grief after the death of her child. Desperate to bring her child back to life, she sought help from the Buddha, who instructed her to find a mustard seed from a household untouched by death. Her search led her to the realization that every family had experienced loss. This discovery helped her accept the universality of death and the impermanence of life, allowing her to release her sorrow. The parable beautifully encapsulates the Buddhist understanding of rebirth, not as a literal continuation of life, but as the ability to transform suffering into wisdom. In modern contexts, the concept of rebirth is also reflected in stories of individuals who have overcome profound challenges to reinvent themselves. Take the case of Malala Yousafzai, who survived an assassination attempt and emerged stronger, becoming a global advocate for girls' education. Her journey represents a metaphorical rebirth, transforming personal suffering into a mission that empowers millions. Similarly, Steve Jobs' story exemplifies the cyclical nature of growth and renewal that mirrors the idea of rebirth. After being ousted from Apple, the company he co-founded, Jobs faced a period of professional death. During this time, he founded new ventures, gained fresh insights, and eventually returned to Apple, leading it to unprecedented success. His story demonstrates how periods of personal or professional setback can be followed by transformation and renewed success. Whether through ancient parables or modern examples, stories of rebirth remind us of the transformative power of impermanence. They encourage us to find strength in adversity, embrace change, and view every ending as a potential beginning. These narratives connect us to the essence of rebirth, growth through understanding and the continuous evolution of the self. Flowing with life, embracing the river of change, in the fast-paced world we live in. It's easy to feel like we're constantly swimming against the current, desperately trying to hold on to things we can't control. We cling to our possessions, our identities, and our ideas of success, hoping that by doing so, we can preserve a sense of stability and meaning. But Buddhism teaches us that true peace lies not in resistance, but in flow. Life is not about clinging to permanence, it's about learning to flow with change. The concept of rebirth offers us a profound lesson in letting go. By recognizing that nothing in life is permanent, we can begin to understand that our struggles, pain, and even our successes are all part of a cycle of transformation. Every moment is a new opportunity for growth, and each experience is an invitation to evolve. Just like a river that winds its way through valleys and mountains, life's flow requires us to adapt, to bend, and to embrace the changes that come our way. In the teachings of Buddhism, we learn that rebirth isn't a cycle of repeating the same mistakes or experiences. Instead, it is an ongoing process of transformation. We are not the same person we were yesterday, and we will not be the same person tomorrow. This understanding frees us from the need to hold on to our past, allowing us to fully embrace the present moment and the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. The concept of karma also reminds us that our actions today create ripples that shape the future. Every decision, every word, and every thought we have has a consequence, not just for us, but for the world around us. By living mindfully and ethically, we can plant seeds of kindness, compassion, and wisdom that will continue to grow long after we are gone. The future is not something set in stone, but a stream flowing from the choices we make in the here and now. The idea of no self, Anatta, challenges us to question our attachment to the I or me that we so often cling to. When we release the illusion of a permanent, unchanging self, we can better understand the interconnectedness of all things. Just as a wave may rise from the ocean and fall back into it, we too are part of a vast, ever-changing tapestry of life. We are not separate from the world around us, but deeply intertwined with it. Imagine if we all truly understood this truth and began to live from a place of deep awareness and compassion. What if we saw each challenge not as a battle to be won but as an opportunity to flow with the changes life presents? What if we embraced impermanence, practiced kindness without expectation, and let go of our attachment to the idea of self? We would, perhaps, find that we no longer fear the future, for we would be moving with it, like a river that doesn't struggle against its path, but instead finds peace in its journey. Life, after all, is not about holding on to the water but about learning how to flow with it. So, the next time you encounter a challenge, whether big or small, remember the teachings of Buddhism: everything is in constant flux, and you are not alone in this river of life. Your thoughts, words, and actions ripple outward, shaping the future in ways you may not even fully understand. But know this: the future is not something fixed or predetermined. It's a stream flowing from the choices we make today. Let's make those choices with intention. Let's live with kindness. Let's approach life with an open heart, knowing that our journey, like the river, is both unique and universal. And as we flow through life, may we continue to grow, evolve, and embrace the beauty of each new moment. In the end, we are all part of the same river, flowing toward a horizon that is as peaceful as it is infinite.